Ladies and gentlemen, you don't need a conversation to put someone in their place. You don't need confrontation to reclaim your power. And you absolutely do not need to waste your breath on people who thrive on chaos. Because dealing with toxic people isn't about out-arguing them, it's about outmaneuvering them. Today, I'm giving you 5 tactical, psychological strategies to handle toxic people without saying a single word. The power of detachment become the gray wall. Toxic people feed off your reactions. They want the spark, they want the emotional hit. So what do? You give them nothing. Not irritation, not anger, not even a sigh. You become a gray wall, calm, neutral, unfazed. Because when you stop playing their game, you take away the only power they have, your attention. This is not silence from weakness. This is silence from strength. Control your proximity, manage your radius. You don't have to cut someone off to protect yourself. You simply adjust your distance, physically, emotionally, digitally. You decide who gets front row access to your life and who gets moved all the way to the cheap seats. Boundaries don't always need to be spoken. Sometimes they just need to be enforced. Your peace is your responsibility. Guard it like it's mission critical. Master your micro-expressions, don't let them read you. Toxic people are emotional hackers. They search your face for vulnerabilities. They look for the flinch, the tension, the little cracks in your armor. So you train your expression to communicate one message: you don't affect me. Relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, slow your breathing. When you control your body, you control the room. And when you control the room, they lose their influence. Redirect your energy, invest where it pays off. Every minute spent thinking about a toxic person is a minute stolen from your goals, your growth, and your sanity. Stop investing in what drains you. Start investing in what builds you. Energy is a currency. Stop tipping people who don't deserve service. Your success, your improvement, your inner strength, these are all silent messages that say, you no longer have access to me. Use the silent cut when they show you who they are. Step back. There are moments in life where silence becomes a verdict, a quiet decision, a calm exit. You don't need to explain yourself to someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is absolutely nothing. Silence is closure. Silence is clarity. Silence is freedom. You don't rise by engaging with people who want to pull you down. You rise by choosing power over reaction, strategy over emotion, and self-respect over chaos. So the next time you encounter a toxic person, remember, you don't have to speak. You don't have to argue. You don't have to justify yourself. You only have to protect your peace with the strength of someone who knows their worth. Because true power isn't loud. True power isn't dramatic. True power is controlled, calm, and silent. And that silence, that's where your freedom begins. Silence is a strategy, not a surrender. It is one of the most misunderstood forms of power because most people think control comes from speaking, arguing, or defending themselves. But true mastery is the ability to stay composed when someone is baiting you into chaos. When you stay unreadable, you remove the fuel toxic people depend on. Their influence comes from getting inside your head, predicting your reactions, and pushing the exact buttons that will make you break posture. By remaining silent and emotionally unavailable, you shut down their access point. They can't manipulate what they can't measure. They can't provoke what they can't read. And they can't dominate someone who refuses to step onto the battlefield. Toxic people are experts at extracting emotional responses. They don't need long conversations. They only need to see one flash of anger, one tightening of the jaw, one shift in your tone. They observe micro reactions like data points, analyzing them to decide where to strike next. When you react, even slightly, you confirm that their behavior works. You're training them to continue. Silence, however, breaks that cycle. Silence tells them their tactics are ineffective. Silence communicates that their behavior has hit a wall instead of a nerve. Silence forces them into uncertainty, and uncertainty is where manipulative people lose their power. They can't proceed when they can't read you. Remaining unreadable doesn't mean being passive. It means being strategically non-reactive. You still maintain awareness. You still hold your ground. You still observe everything. But you offer none of your emotional resources to someone who would happily weaponize them. When you stay silent, you're not avoiding conflict. You're refusing to participate in a performance designed to drain you. You're choosing a stance that keeps you in control of yourself rather than letting someone else dictate your emotional state. People underestimate how loud silence can be. When you withhold words, the other person is forced to sit with their own behavior without your emotional cushioning. They can't redirect blame. They can't twist your responses. They can't escalate the situation based on your tone. Silence makes them face themselves. For someone who depends on manipulation, that is deeply unsettling. Suddenly, they have nothing to work with. No crack in your armor, no emotional entry point, no pathway to destabilize you. Your unreadability becomes a shield they can't penetrate. And silence isn't just an external act, it's an internal discipline. It requires you to regulate your breathing, relax your shoulders, and steady your mind. It demands you recognize that your emotional energy is yours to control. Toxic people thrive on your tension. Your silence must be more than quiet words. It must be a quiet body and a quiet mind. Your stillness becomes a tactical advantage because it signals that you are not threatened, not triggered, not impacted. They expect you to react. Your non-reaction disrupts the entire playbook they depend on. When you hold yourself in this calm, unreadable state, you communicate strength without saying anything. You send the message that you choose when to engage, how to engage, and whether engagement is even worth your energy. People who try to provoke you will feel it instantly. They'll sense they can't penetrate your composure. They'll sense that their tactics aren't landing. They'll sense that you operate on a different level than the one they're trying to drag you down to. And that awareness alone shifts the dynamic in your favor. Many people believe that silence means weakness because they equate speaking with power. But power is not in words. Power is in control. Control over your emotions, your reactions, your presence. Silence teaches you to hold your center even when someone is trying to disrupt it. It teaches you to separate your self-worth from someone else's behavior. It teaches you to stand firm without needing to convince anyone of anything. When you master silence, you stop fighting battles that are beneath you. Silence is also a filter. When you stay unreadable, you allow the other person to reveal who they truly are without your influence. Your silence becomes a spotlight that exposes their patterns. If someone becomes hostile when they can't provoke you, that tells you exactly the kind of person you're dealing with. If they escalate because they can't access your emotions, that reveals how dependent they are on controlling others. Your silence brings clarity. It allows you to study them with precision. It turns the situation into observation rather than participation. And there's another layer. Silence conserves your energy. When you refuse to argue, defend, or emotionally engage, you protect your mental resources. Instead of wasting energy explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you redirect that energy into maintaining your strength. You're not losing anything by staying silent, you're preserving everything that matters. Toxic people drain you through emotional entanglement. Silence cuts off the supply. They can only take what you give, and when you give nothing, they have nothing to drain. Silence also trains you to remain grounded under pressure. Every time you refuse to react, you strengthen your psychological resilience. You remind yourself that your emotions are not controlled by external behavior. You reinforce the belief that you do not need validation, permission, or approval from anyone. Your silence becomes a declaration of independence. It separates your identity from the influence of others. It elevates you above the emotional games people try to play. Your unreadability becomes your armor. Not rigid, not closed off, simply untouchable by the tactics of those who want to pull you into dysfunction. And once you realize how effective this is, you start approaching interactions with more intention. You start recognizing which situations require your voice and which do not. You start valuing your energy enough to use silence as a conscious choice rather than a reaction. You learn that you don't need to prove anything to anyone who is determined to misunderstand you. You learn that not every battle deserves a warrior. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to stand still and let the other person exhaust themselves. Protect your peace by managing distance, not arguments. Most people believe confrontation is the only way to set boundaries. But the truth is that real boundaries are enforced through action, not conversation. You don't have to raise your voice to reclaim your space. You don't have to justify yourself to someone who constantly crosses the line. You don't need dramatic exits, long explanations, or emotional speeches. The most powerful shift you can make is adjusting your proximity, physically, emotionally, mentally, and digitally. Distance is not avoidance. Distance is strategy. It is a deliberate choice to protect your energy from people who drain it, distort it, or disrespect it. You can learn everything you need to know about a person by how they respond when you stop giving them easy access. When you create distance, people reveal their intentions. Some will respect it, adjust, and meet you where you are. Others will resist, push harder, or lash out because they're losing control. Pay attention to that. Emotional reactions to your boundaries tell you far more about a person than their words ever will. Managing distance gives you clarity. It gives you perspective. It allows you to see people's behavior without being tangled in it. Distance is power because it puts you back in the driver's seat. Toxic people operate best when they're close enough to influence your emotions, close enough to guilt trip you, close enough to keep you doubting yourself. When you pull back, even slightly, you disrupt their control. Suddenly, they don't have the same reach, they don't have the same leverage, they don't have the same ability to get inside your head. By adjusting the radius of access, you create a buffer that protects your emotional center. It doesn't matter whether that distance is a few feet in a room, a few days between messages, or a complete shift in how much of your inner world you share. Managing distance begins with recognizing that not everyone deserves the same level of closeness. Your presence is a privilege, not a free pass. Too often, people who drain us are the same people we've allowed to stand closest to us. You don't owe anyone unlimited access. You don't owe anyone constant availability. You don't owe anyone your emotional bandwidth simply because they expect it. Protecting your peace starts with understanding that you get to choose who sits in the front row of your life and who gets moved all the way to the back. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Distance also teaches you to break patterns that you might not even realize are harming you. When you step back, you can see dynamics more clearly. The manipulation hidden in jokes, the guilt wrapped inside affection, the subtle digs disguised as advice, the way certain people only show up when they need something. When you're too close, you normalize behavior you would never accept from someone outside your circle. Space allows you to see things with fresh eyes. It allows you to name what's actually happening instead of rationalizing it. Sometimes stepping back is the only way to break the spell someone has over you. Creating distance doesn't require conflict. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain it. You simply shift, respond slower, share less, limit time, redefine access. Your actions do the talking. When someone has repeatedly shown they don't value your peace, you don't negotiate, you recalibrate. Some people will notice the shift immediately and try to pull you back into the old dynamic. They'll test your boundaries. They'll send emotional hooks. They'll try to provoke a reaction. Don't fall for it. Consistency is what reinforces distance. You maintain it even when they push. You maintain it. Even when they guilt you, you maintain it because your peace is worth more than their approval. Distance is also a form of emotional hygiene. What you allow close to you shapes your mindset, your confidence, your stress levels, and your sense of stability. When you let toxic people get too close, you absorb their chaos. Their negativity becomes background noise in your life. Their dysfunction becomes something you manage instead of something they own. Managing distance cuts that off. It creates separation between their problems and your peace. You stop internalizing their moods. You stop carrying their burdens. You stop letting their instability bleed into your world. And distance works both ways. It protects you from them, and it protects them from disrupting you. When you step back, you stop enabling their behavior. You stop feeding the cycle. You stop participating in dynamics that drain you. This is not punishment, it's prevention. It's how you preserve your emotional resources so you can invest them where they matter. Your growth, your goals, your well-being, your relationships that uplift instead of undermine. Managing distance also trains other people how to treat you. When you calmly reposition yourself, you send a message about your standards, you communicate what you will and will not accept without needing to argue or defend it. People learn quickly that if they want to stay close, they must behave in ways that respect your space and your peace. If they don't, the distance stays, not as a threat, but as a natural consequence. Closeness is earned, respect is required. Peace is non-negotiable. There is strength in quietly stepping back from what disrupts you. There's confidence in knowing you don't need to confront every violation to correct it. There is power in choosing your own calm over someone else's chaos. Distance gives you room to breathe, room to think, room to regain control of your emotional environment. It gives you the space to operate from clarity instead of reaction. And the more intentional you become about managing who gets close, the more you realize how much of your peace was lost simply because you gave the wrong people too much access. When you master the art of managing distance, you move through life with more confidence. You stop feeling obligated to engage. You stop feeling responsible for other people's behavior. You stop sacrificing your well-being to maintain connections that drain you. You start choosing your mental security over their temporary feelings. You start prioritizing your own stability. You start recognizing that protecting your peace is not selfish, it is essential. Your energy is currency. Stop investing in people who only drain your reserves. Every interaction we have, every moment we give, every emotion we expend costs something. People think energy is limitless because we don't see it physically disappearing, but internally, mentally, emotionally, it is being spent with every choice we make. And the fastest way to bankrupt yourself is by pouring your energy into people who do nothing but take. Your energy determines your focus, your clarity, your resilience, your ability to perform, your ability to stay grounded. When you waste it on the wrong people, the effects ripple through every part of your life. This is why recognizing energy drainers is not just emotional intelligence, it is self-preservation. The people around you either replenish you or deplete you. They either build you or break you. They either help you move forward or weigh you down so heavily that progress becomes exhausting. The mistake so many people make is believing they have to keep giving energy to everyone who demands it. But the truth is, you owe nothing to those who repeatedly drain you. You don't owe your emotional capacity to someone who refuses to manage their own. You don't owe your patience to someone who thrives on chaos. You don't owe your strength to someone who uses it as an anchor to pull you under. Protecting your energy means becoming intentional about who gets access to it and who doesn't. Start noticing who energizes you and who exhausts you. Pay attention to how you feel after interacting with certain people, lighter or heavier, clearer or more confused, grounded or thrown off balance. Your body knows, your mind knows. If you walk away from someone feeling depleted every single time, that is not a coincidence. It is a pattern, and patterns don't lie. Energy drainers often have consistent traits. They demand attention without offering support. They create drama and expect you to clean it up. They complain but never take action. They drain conversations without contributing anything meaningful. These people operate like emotional vacuum cleaners. They suck up everything you give and leave you empty. Your energy is too valuable to waste on dynamics that go nowhere. There are people who will take and take until you are drained, burnt out, or emotionally numb. And you will know a person like this by the way they react when you stop feeding them. If someone becomes distant, angry, offended, or manipulative, the moment you stop pouring your energy into them, it's because your energy was the only thing keeping the connection alive. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. Draining relationships depend entirely on your effort. The moment you withdraw that effort, the relationship reveals its true nature. One of the most important ways to protect your energy is learning to say no without guilt. Saying no is not rejection, it is self-respect. It is acknowledging that your energy has limits and you are choosing to use it wisely. People who respect you will accept your boundaries. People who only value you for what you give will push back. But that pushback is information. Let it inform you. Every time you say yes to someone who drains you, you say no to yourself. You say no to your goals, your rest, your peace, your mental clarity. You cannot build a strong life while constantly financing someone else's emotional debt. Another critical aspect of energy protection is not engaging in emotional battles that don't belong to you. There are people who will try to pull you into their storms, their drama, their insecurities, and their chaos. They will bait you, provoke you, guilt you, or emotionally dump on you without any intention of resolving anything. Their chaos becomes your responsibility if you accept the invitation. But you don't have to attend every emotional fight you're invited to. You don't have to absorb the stress someone else refuses to manage. You don't have to solve problems that are not yours. You protect your energy by staying centered, by refusing to match someone's dysfunction, by not letting their storms infiltrate your inner stability. Energy protection also means being selective about where you focus your attention. Attention is energy. Whatever you focus on grows. If you spend your attention on negativity, insecurity, or toxic people, you feed them. If you focus on your goals, your self-improvement, your peace, you feed yourself. You only have so much attention each day. 10 thoughts wasted on the wrong person can cost you an entire hour of productivity or an entire night of peace. Before you give someone your attention, ask yourself, are they adding value or subtracting it? Are they contributing to my strength or eroding it? Are they deserving of the emotional space they're taking? Your energy is the foundation of your life. Everything you want, success, clarity, emotional stability, good relationships, confidence, depends on how you manage it. When you stop wasting it on people who drain you, you suddenly have energy available for the things that truly matter. You have energy for your growth. You have energy for your healing. You have energy for the people who genuinely care. You have energy for your ambitions. You have energy for becoming the person you want to be. What feels like burnout is often just misallocated energy. You are not exhausted because you're weak. You're exhausted because you're giving your energy to the wrong places. Protecting your energy also changes how you see yourself. When you stop overgiving to people who don't appreciate you, you begin to understand your worth on a deeper level. You stop defining your value by how much you can endure. You stop trying to prove yourself through emotional labor. You realize that your energy is a gift, not something to be exploited. And when you understand the value of your energy, you start treating it like something worth guarding. You start holding yourself to higher standards. You start surrounding yourself with people who uplift rather than drain. You start prioritizing your internal peace over external expectations. Your energy is your power. It is your influence, your mindset, your momentum, your emotional anchor. Once you learn to protect it, your entire life shifts. You stop chasing validation. You stop engaging with pointless conflict. You stop entertaining people who only show up to take. You become more intentional, more focused, more grounded. You move through life with a different kind of confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you no longer let people siphon your strength.